So today's 2nd of October, birthday of a very great personality, rather famous, also a person who I believe, if had survived a bit longer, could have contributed so much more to this country and could have probably saved this country from a lot of troubles that exist today. But unfortunately, he died, and rather sadly, he could not continue being with us. But the good thing is that he is remembered for the greatness that he represented, the greatness that he exhibited, and how down to earth and true his personality was. I'm talking about Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, our second Prime Minister, and I'm really I just feel so proud of how humble a person he was. And if India had more politicians today of that kind, I think India would be much better a country. It's a shame that he comes from the same political party, which is now representative of destruction of India's interests, and that's a poor thing. Similar to how I feel about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel ji as well, because he also comes from that very political party, although he represents a completely different viewpoint than that party, which is why he's never respected in there. He's never respected in the party that he belonged to, and so is with. I mean, they never take pride in Lal Bahadur Shastri or Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, but they somehow take pride in everyone else. Why? They just take pride in the family. That's their entire thing. There is also birthday of another person who contributed so less than he is accredited for, but still for some reason he has got titles. I don't want to defile this video by taking his name, because personally I don't agree with what he represents. But anyway, I hope that Lal Bahadur Shastri ji is remembered more, and his actions are, his greatness is revealed to the people more, and people should go watch the Tashkent Files, because that will tell in such mysterious circumstances he died. Involvement of different forces, to some extent I feel forces that acted out of India, some very vested interests, who were, I would not say necessarily against India then. Now obviously they've turned against India too, but then it was more about gaining power for themselves and concentrating power in their own hands. Probably some of the people, very narcissistic people, we know about them from different aspects of their life, especially the ones that happened in the future. So after the death of Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, so such people might have some involvement in this, or so I've heard at least, because otherwise, I mean, in any criminal case, any murder, anything, what do we see? We see motive, and we see who, and motive is basically why would anyone want to do it, and who has the greatest benefit out of death of anyone. And if you know the politics, you would know who gained the most benefit out of this. If Lal Bahadur Shastri, or a person as competent as him and who was still not that old, had continued to be in politics, I think Indian politics would not have been a dynastic politics as it is today. So probably, I mean, you get the idea who I'm talking about. I don't want to take names, and again, it would be defiling my video by taking names of such narcissists. By the way, this narcissism, this conceit, it runs in the blood. You can see it in the present generation as well, especially everyone. I was going to say especially the male members, but again, not all male members. Female members also have that conceit in them. So this is what I was willing to talk about. Today's also, this is interesting. I mean, this is completely separate, but today's also Dussehra. Dussehra is a really beautiful festival because it represents end of negative, death of negative forces. Ravan was killed by Prabhu Shri Ram, and of course he was intelligent and intellectual and Chaturvedi and all of that, but he misused his knowledge. And so he was brought to justice. At this day, in a way, also represents, dispensing justice to the world and to everyone, and to, whoever needed to be dispensed justice, whatever. And so I think this is a very nice occasion. I also would like to tell you that I'm really excited for the festive season that is coming. Of course, it has already started with Navratri, but then, one after another, there are multiple festivals up to Diwali, and I just love this phase of the year. This part of the year is amazing. and hopefully there'll not be so many people, sharing their views on environmentalism this year. It's just weird that you know all the righteousness and sustainable development BS, and all of this comes out only during Hindu festivals. I mean, I heard someone talking about Dashera is. I think this was a News Laundry, this news place, which is also funded by George Soros. Apparently, this News Laundry CEO or something or founder, he said that Dashera normalizes violence. So Lord Ram killed a perpetrator of violence, and it normalizes violence. So does he want to say this for the Brits? Does he want to say this for the Sharia law? Does he want to say this for it does it? I mean, does he want to say this for Bakri Eid or for any other festival where there is murdering of animals? Does he want to say this for anything other than Hinduism? That's the thing. You always go behind the easy target because we are calm people. We are not very argumentative. We haven't been, at least in the history. And hopefully and I can see that some aspects of our life are changing. We are becoming more vocal about our rights as a community, not as a majority, but as a community. We need to be. So this is completely different. I was not going to talk about this, but I felt like I should mention this. That this guy is saying that our festival, because today is 2nd of October, and this day is the Dashera as well. So the Dashera represents violence. Well then, if the Dashera represents violence, then you must be vegan. And they all come out. If they are asked this thing, recently what happened when Supreme Court, some High Court, I guess, not Supreme Court, some court in Delhi Supreme Court ordered about the stray dog thing, that stray dogs will be sent to a facility where they'll be kept and they'll be castrated or something, because these dogs were killing a lot of people or hurting a lot of people, if not killing. And to me, it did not seem as. I mean, I am afraid of dogs, by the way. I'm not a dog person, I'm a cat person. I'm afraid of dogs, and those people who will come out and say that, well, dogs are loyal creatures. I raised a dog when I was very young, and that dog, on one fine morning, I was coming back from somewhere, and it was morning time, no one was outside, most people were probably not even awake, and that dog she was a female dog, and she had kids, she had male children, and they were fully grown male dogs, and I had raised those dogs as well. And she literally, and this was like a community dog. It was not my personal dog, but we had raised her and her children, and she literally, set her kids behind me. So those dogs ran behind me. I had a bag in my hand, and I somehow protected myself using that bag, which is why I don't really love dogs anymore. I have a personal grudge towards dogs, and I always say that dogs are not as loyal as some people think. And there are more than just this instance. I've seen many dogs turning against their owners and killing them, and I've seen many instances of this. My personal view is that they should be castrated, and they should be sent to such facilities where they cannot hurt people, because lives are important of every creature. But if humans can be sent to jail, then why should not animals be? Just because they are silent creatures, they don't get a free pass to everything. But I didn't mean to say that every dog should be sent there. Maybe there are better places. Maybe they should be left in forests. Maybe something. They should not be kept there forever. They should be first taken down and then sent somewhere more appropriate. That's my view. But all these dog lovers or animal lovers came out and started talking about. I believe most of these animal lovers were also non-vegetarian. That's another thing. I'm a non-vegetarian, but I don't claim to be a dog lover or animal lover. But these people were really happy, defending dogs, but not chicken, and defending. They and Narendra Modi ji in one of his rallies, said this really nicely, that I met some animal lovers. It's funny that they don't see cows and animals, because they love they love when people get right to expression by eating beef, but they don't love when other animals are hurt. So they are, there is a mix of these people. They all like, it's in India. It's interesting that every force of weirdest kind, woke, liberal, left, Marxist. I mean, left is Marxist anyway. And all of these different kinds of forces, socialist forces, all of these forces, Naxal forces, urban Naxal forces combined. have decided that we will first take down the strongest enemy. Islamist forces as well, by the way. Yes, I didn't mention them. So all of these forces have come together, and they have decided that we will take down the strongest enemy, which is Hinduism, because they know that Hinduism is so all-encompassing. It is so wide and so liberal that if anyone is given enough time to understand it, people will start adopting it, people will start taking note of it, people will start liking it, and eventually everyone will want to turn. And it's so easy to become a Hindu. You just have to start practicing it. You don't have to be ordained by anyone. You don't have to be baptized or anything. So that's the thing. That's why people love Hinduism so much. You just have to have faith in your heart towards God. That's all Hinduism requires. Not even God. If you feel faith towards a river, you express your faith towards that river, and you are Hindu. That's the easiest, that's the most liberal way of life, that's the most free way of life. That's why Hinduism is so intimidating, so terrorizing for these people, because they feel that their communist atheism, or their Islamist Wahhabism, or their Catholic Christianity, or their whatever else will be suppressed by the freedom of this culture, and its true, truly democratic values. That's why they have joined forces to work against this one common enemy first, the strongest one, because they know that individually they cannot take this down. It's too strong a force. It has survived for 20,000, maybe infinite amount of time. Sanatana Dharma is forever anyway. So 20,000 years, let's say, for the understanding of present people and the common people who don't see time the same way as Hindu religion does. Even for them, 20,000 years is a long period of time, the oldest religion. And these people come together and fight against this faith, and they think they can go ahead and do this. They can defeat us. Even together, they are finding it so hard, especially under this regime, to fight this force. So that's something very weird about the Indian scenario, that these people who otherwise, some of them are vegan, so they are woke, so they are vegan, so they are pro non-consumption of animals. But they are the same people who then defend the rights of people who are eating, who are eating particularly beef. Because why? Because they have their Muslim allies, and they have to support them consuming all this, and not just Muslim, but other. And then they are the same person who are also supporting, everything. Like socialism. You are supporting socialism, and in communist countries, the condition of Muslims is very visible. Then they're the same people who are also supporting Marxism, which is essentially atheism of an interesting kind. And Islam is more harsh towards atheists than it is about infidels. It is against, the idol worshippers. So it's interesting that there is a combination of all of these opposing forces on the one side, and one very beautiful and interesting and lovely faith on the other, and still that single force, just as Narendra Modi in the Indian politics, that single force as Hinduism, as Sanatana Dharma, is able to fight and maybe even dominate against the other forces. And that's the beauty of our faith. We are so strong. We have support of other minor Indian religions. We have support of the Sikh community. We have the support of Jain and Buddhist community, because they know that we are all Indian faith at the end of the day, and we all believe in the coexistence of ideas, plurality, rather than consuming ending other ideas to end the opposition forever. This is, fundamentally undemocratic, but these people claim to be democratic, and then they are waving constitution every other day to prove that how democratic they are, and they call Narendra Modi a dictator, but their religious views seem to be completely the opposite of it. Which of the 56 Muslim countries do you know which is democratic? None, right? Do you know any communist country which is democratic? No. There are many democratic Christian countries, but they also have accepted Christianity as their state faith. It's just that they allow other faiths to exist, which is something that Hinduism has been doing for thousands of years. So why should India not become a Hindu nation, Hindu state? It can become, right? Just because it is Hindu faith, somehow it becomes anti-secular. The video has gotten too long already. Thank you very much for being with me for this long, and I think I would love to see your views about this, so please comment and tell me anything you agree or disagree with. Thank you very much for bearing with me for this long, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.